So when you're elected mayor, what is kind of like your ground game on getting municipal broadband?
So what I'm going to do is build it into my COVID recovery, and I want to do it
Oh, that's
around.
smart.
Yeah, I want to build it into the COVID recovery in the first 100 days. I mean, I want to take advantage of that cheap money out of the feds, and I want to do a lot of public works projects. I want to transform some of my parks and community centers that are being shuttered right now due to COVID and budget cuts, and really think about what does a resilient community look like bouncing back from COVID. We're looking at mass transportation. You talk about municipal broadband, and transportation is another place where people have come to Portland and they hop on one transportation mode to the other, to our bike share, to streetcar, to light rail, a bus, and they're like, this is so effortless. Why doesn't everyone choose to live like this? Making sure that the good life accrues to your people should be part of our COVID recovery, and we can make those investments for our future, because why not? Why wouldn't we be investing in that stuff at this time? We need to put people back to work. We need to be making these public infrastructure investments. And it's time for us to think about a new progressive era. We're leaving this second Gilded Age. We saw what this looked like the last time we left a Gilded Age. History doesn't need to, it's not like it's going to unfold differently. Our recovery from all of this and our pathway forward is a climate justice one. It's about making sure that the jobs of the future are clean and green. It's literally not rocket science, but we've allowed the investment in our people and the investment in our places to be so hijacked as this heinous like I think Bill Barr called Portland like this, we're all these violent anarchists, and Donald Trump called us like a bee's nest of terrorists or something. And I'm like, have you seen us? We like plant gardens and ride bikes and start businesses and like print magazines here. So yeah, we're going to make it around the economy. You have to. It has to be around a just economy for your people, and making sure that your investments pay off for your people.
Well, what are some of the other big bullet points of your campaign policy wise? What's
So
kind
the
of like
way we
the
started out was that Green New Deal, that municipal Green New Deal. And what we did was we pulled the best of every Green New Deal that we saw going on around the world, these critical investments that we could make in the transition off the fossil fuel economy, so that Portland has a sustainable economy. Ideally, that would be happening regionally. We have the only directly elected regional government in the US here in Metro. But we really want to light a fire underneath them and get our region to have a sustainable economy. Second is rethinking public safety. So we have got to draw down that militarized police budget, stop wasteful spending on intensified militarization in our streets, and put that money to services where it's needed most. Portland has a horrible history of excessive use of force from our police department. They're spending tens of thousands of dollars on munitions and tear gas, with each week that passes, and millions of dollars in police overtime, even while we're in the middle of a COVID crisis and a homelessness crisis. So I want to see those resources reallocated toward community safety and well-being. Then we have to look at our housing crisis and the fact that Portland has a rapidly growing population. And what does it mean for us to rethink how even our city is zoned and how we use land? Do we need to convert some of our golf courses? Portland has 6 golf courses that are in the red. Do we need to restore those for human and nature habitats as opposed to recreation for just a few people with golf clubs? And then finally is a good government reform package where things like municipal broadband and ranked choice, alternative voting models,
yes?
opening the ballot to non-naturalized citizens, we can do at the municipal level, so immigrants and refugees can vote here. Thinking about district representation. Do we need to look at our city charter to make sure that people are more fairly represented in our city? I always call it the nuts and bolts part, but really it's at the core of what we're trying to do all the way back to Putnam. A healthy democracy is going to be the first responder in these trying times as we face these intersecting crises, and making sure our people are connected to each other, connected to decision making, completely empowered for disaster preparedness and climate response, and crisis response, I believe is our number one duty as Portlanders for this next generation moving forward.
That is, I think, completely what the agenda should be right now. When you win, I'm going to move to Portland. And then if you don't keep these promises, I'm going to be really annoying. Just going to be honest. I'm going to be incredibly annoying if you don't keep these promises.
Well, again, the beauty of keeping or not keeping these promises is the broad-based coalition that it takes to get me elected. The Sightline Institute did a report that, historically, it's just been a few hundred people who make up the bulk of campaign finance contributions in the city. And so for too long, how we make policy has had to appease or satisfy them, right? Or even please them. And what we need to say is that is not how governance is going to go in the new world order, that healthy democracy is inclusive and it's representative. And right now, I'll just give you a good illustration. The timber baron, incumbent who has got a trust fund and his wealth, his family was in the timber industry. He has like 100 new donors since the primary. Yesterday, we did a count. I have 999 new donors. So it really changes the fundamental nature of how you're trying to do politics when you build that broad-based coalition, because it means I have to find a solution that's going to work for a really broad swath of people. And something like municipal broadband, it should check those boxes. Every family in Portland should want to solve the problems that solves. And I kind of don't have to care if Comcast gets mad at me because Comcast didn't elect me.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and